Sri Lanka and Pakistan ink 8 MOUs.
International expertise sought to further analyze the CCTV footage connected to the murder of Wasim Tajuddin.
Concessionary fertilizer at subsidized prices. Statement from the Minister of Agriculture.
Coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studio here in Colombo, Sri Lanka. This is your Primetime News Bulletin. A very good evening. I'm Shen Silva, and with me in the studio is my co-anchor this evening, Stephanie Lazarus. A very good evening, Stephanie.
A very good evening to you, Shen, and a very good evening to all our viewers watching us on MTV and Shakti TV. Let's start off tonight's news with a look at the top story. The top story tonight, Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, who is on an official 3-day visit to Sri Lanka, was officially welcomed at a special event held at the Presidential Secretariat this morning.
The President of the Pakistan Muslim League, the biggest political party. Yes, Javed, a wonderful scenery here at the Presidential Secretariat, and this is how Sri Lanka extends...
President Maithripala Sirisena warmly welcomed the Pakistani Prime Minister upon his arrival to the Presidential Secretariat. A guard of honor and a gun salute was accorded to the visiting Pakistani Prime Minister. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and ministers and MPs from both nations also attended the event. Following bilateral discussions, the President and the Pakistani Prime Minister addressed the gathering. We cannot forget the cooperation extended by the Pakistani government for Sri Lanka's development as well as during the civil war in relations to national security. Therefore, the Sri Lankan government as well as the Sri Lankan people have the utmost respect for the people and the government of Pakistan. The people and the government of Pakistan have always been a friend of Sri Lanka during times of joy and times of sorrow. Sri Lanka values its relations with Pakistan and desires to further deepen and broaden it. We have reviewed the agreements that we reached when I visited Pakistan last year, and we hope to continue on these matters further.
We have agreed to hold frequent summit-level meetings, promote parliamentary exchanges and enhance the process of consultations, cooperation and coordination between our respective institutions. We also discussed the issues relating to the implementation of Pakistan-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. Sri Lanka enjoys the exceptional position of being the first country with which Pakistan entered into a free trade agreement. The present volume of trade does not reflect the true potential. We have agreed to reinvigorate our efforts to realize the goal of achieving $1 billion bilateral trade target at the earliest. I reiterated Pakistan's offer to set up cement and sugar plants in Sri Lanka on mutually agreed terms for the long-term benefit of the Sri Lankan economy. Sri Lanka has been a strong and steadfast friend of Pakistan. It has stood by us in our most difficult moments. We remain eternally grateful to the people and government of this beautiful country. We now look forward to welcoming President Sirisena to Pakistan at an early date, so that the relations of mutual trust and confidence can be further enhanced.
Subsequently, Sri Lanka and Pakistan inked 8 bilateral agreements. The National Science Foundation of Sri Lanka and Pakistan Science Foundation inked a MOU on scientific and technological cooperation. In addition, the MOU on cooperation in the exchange of intelligence related to money laundering and terrorism financing was signed between the Financial Intelligence Unit of Sri Lanka and Financial Monitoring Unit of Pakistan. The Export Development Board of Sri Lanka and the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan signed a MOU on cooperation in trade. Two agreements were also inked with regard to further developing the cooperation between the two nations related to health and cultural sectors. The MOU for cooperation between the Gem and Jewellery Research and Training Institute of Sri Lanka and the Pakistan Institute of Fashion and Design was also inked. MOU on sharing statistical and census data was signed between the Department of Census and Statistics of Sri Lanka and the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics.
In related news, Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif called on his Sri Lankan counterpart Ranil Wickremesinghe this afternoon. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe had extended an invitation to the visiting Prime Minister of Pakistan to attend a lunch at Temple Trees.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif announced today that a Pakistani trade exhibition would take place later this month at the BMICH.
I am pleased to tell you that Trade Development Authority of Pakistan would be holding a Pakistan single country exhibition in Colombo from 15th to 17th January 2016. More than 100 Pakistani companies representing textiles, leather, chemicals, automobiles, food and beverages, fast-moving consumer goods and pharmaceutical products are participating in this mega event.
We have to remember that when we look at Pakistan, we are only not looking at the Pakistan market, which is enormous. Remember that you will be opening up the trade routes into the Central Asia, and this is another way of extending yourself to the Middle East and the Gulf.
Moving on to other local stories now, UNP Jaffna district organizer Tithuara Keswaran made a revelation at a media briefing today.
I have informed the President, the Prime Minister and State Minister of Defence, Ruwan Wijewardena, that this year's Thaipongal New Year has to be celebrated under much security. I responsibly state that when President Maithripala Sirisena visited a camp, planned to assassinate him. This plan was made with the assistance of a woman from Nelliyadi.
Still in local news, the Department of Computer Science of the University of Colombo informed court that foreign assistance would be required to review the CCTV footage connected to the death of Wasim Tajuddin. Court was informed today that the CCTV footage under investigation included footage of the vehicle that was driven by the former national rugby player on the day of his death. The report that was submitted to court by the Department of Computer Science of the University of Colombo stated that the department could not identify the number plates of Wasim Tajuddin's vehicle or whether Tajuddin was inside the vehicle at the time of the incident. The report also recommended that the footage be forwarded to a foreign agency for further review, as the Department of Computer Science did not possess the technology to carry out further investigations.
Have we forgotten? The death of Wasim Tajuddin was a topic of much controversy. The charred remains of the national ruggerite were found in his own vehicle in Narahempita 3 years ago. The police convening a media briefing on the same day stated that they suspected Tajuddin to have died when his car crashed into a wall at around 2 in the morning. Wasim Tajuddin's driver's license and national identity card were later found in a wallet in the Kirlapana area. Suspicions regarding the death surfaced from time to time, and therefore court ordered that Wasim Tajuddin's body be exhumed and a further post-mortem be carried out. Tajuddin's remains, which were buried at the Jumma Mosque premises in Dehiwala, were exhumed on the 10th of August last year. A few months later, the Colombo Additional Magistrate said that Wasim Tajuddin's death was not accidental.
වසර 4ක් තුල මේ වගේ ඝාතනයක් හෙදරව කරගන්න බැරි වුණා නම් Taking 4 years to expose the murder indicates that there is a major problem. Where is the rule of law? Enough wasting time on this. The President and the government needs to expedite investigations and get to the bottom of this and punish the offenders.
Yes, the previous group want it that way. The previous government supporters are still there. All that is under the Attorney General's department. On the one hand, the IGP says, ask the Attorney General if it is right that they arrest a man who owns 3,000 weapons. If the man who owns locally improvised weapons is caught, he would be brought before the court. But to send the man who owns 3,500 weapons before court, they say to ask the Attorney General. This is how our country's laws function. They do not ask the Attorney General for permission to send a small locally improvised weapon-owning man before the court. They just send him to the court. So, it is in this context in this country that we all have to operate in. We change the government, but the state remains the same.
Have we forgotten?
The Land Reclamation Commission says that the failure of the Department of Forest Conservation to reclaim lands under the project to expand the Singharaja Forest Reserve has led to unpreventable forest destruction. However, the Department of Forest Conservation says that this situation has arisen as ownership of the lands in question have not been given to them.
Over the past few days, Newsfirst revealed the extent of a massive forest destruction taking place in the areas of Bovitiyawatta, Handapanella and Manikawatta areas. Following the Newsfirst revelation, the Land Reclamation Commission visited the area in question. According to the Land Reclamation Commission, the lands were allocated for the project for the expansion of the Singharaja Forest Reserve, and the administration task of the lands were vested with the Department of Forest Conservation. Ratnapura District Director of the LRC, Padmasiri Liyanage, said that the Department of Wildlife Conservation had not taken any steps to mark the boundary of the lands they are to reclaim under the Land Reclamation Act. There is a total misunderstanding. The ownership is with us, but the operations are vested with them. We have no right to interfere here when the administration is vested with another. This is done for the government to reclaim the land. We cannot interfere in this. The Department of Wildlife Conservation must notify us of the markings that they have placed. The responsibility with this lies with the Department of Forest Conservation. If they come with the plans and show us the boundary, this issue can be resolved. No more destruction can take place here. However, yesterday the Department of Forest Conservation made the following statement to Newsfirst. These are lands owned by the Land Reclamation Commission. We have no right on the land. That is an issue. They have joined with the LRC and made a survey. I have the plan with me. They are trying to lease these lands from the LRC. We cannot stop the law of the land. If this is the land of the LRC, they have the right to sell it. Without any right, as a department, we cannot do anything. Among these lands in which destruction had taken place are lands that were legally leased by the Land Reclamation Commission and illegally reclaimed lands.
These lands also fall under a certain category of state land. They are not controlled as under the provisions of the Forest Ordinance. Under Section 20, the usual forest lands and the state lands that are not being declared under any other act are being managed and controlled by the Forest Department. The law is the Land Reforms Commission's law, and accordingly it's the Land Reforms Commission that should take legal measures to prevent and combat any illegal encroachment or illegal felling of trees or the removal of any natural resources from such lands.
Chairman of the Mahabodhi Society, Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thera, celebrates his 66th birthday today.
A Pinnapata campaign and alms giving was organized at the Yoshida Shokhandi International School in Sabkaskanda this morning in line with the 66th birthday of Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thera. Sri Lanka has Theravada Buddhism. The national movement initiated by the late Dharmapala could be carried further because of the courage of Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thera. A delegation including the Maharashtra State Social Justice Minister Rajkumar arrived in the country from India to attend the event organized to mark the birthday of Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thera. Speaking in Newsfirst, the minister said that a decision has been reached to launch a channel named Ashok TV.
We are just to think to launch
The Buddhist channel, particular, the Ashoka channel is it. There are so many religious channels and another channels also. I would just think there are a lot of people who belong to the Buddhism. They have no so strong channel for them. So we just think to launch the channel for that the Buddhist people.
We have understood the need for a media to raise awareness among the Indian people. We have commenced a new channel called Ashok TV to render a service to the followers of Buddhism and the Buddhist vision. The organizers have decided to have the launch of this channel on my birthday. I did something new on every birthday, and the true meaning would be if something better would happen for the people.
The annual prize-giving ceremony of the Yoshida Shokanji International School and a felicitation event for Venerable Banagalu Puthisatero was held this evening at the Bandaranaike Memorial International Conference Hall. A new channel, Ashok TV, was launched at the occasion. Venerable Banagalu Puthisatero, who had engaged in spreading the Dhamma locally and abroad for over half a century, celebrates his 66th birthday today. He was born on the 5th of January 1950 in a remote village called Panagala Deniyaya, and at the age of 17 he was ordained as a pupil Buddhist monk under the Venerable Hendigale Panyasarthero. Venerable Banagalu Puthisatero completed the Shastravedi and Shastrapati degrees while at the Sanchi temple in India and became popular for his service to the Sasana and society. Venerable Banagalu Puthisatero, who educates children in the country through the Yoshida Shokanji International School, continues to carry out the service of Anagarika Dharmapala through the Mahabodhi Society of Sri Lanka. Venerable Banagalu Puthisatero's service to the society and the Sasana had spread to India, Japan, Pakistan as well as Europe and many other nations. Unafraid of change. Humane leadership. I am prepared to face any challenge. I am prepared to undergo any personal loss. It is sad to note that the Ministry of Agriculture that I was in charge of is now run by 7 ministers. It has been divided into 7 ministries. There are 62 ministers in our government. This is the largest in the world. Those who have political power today have brought disrepute to the entire political system. There are flaws in the tender process followed. As a minister, I am aware that some of those flaws are carried out with intent. Even if the foreigners come here to prevent the publication of the Gazette, we will not stop this national campaign. I must make it clear that according to my conscience, I was always with the people of Polonnaruwa, and this is why I have been in Parliament for 25 consecutive years. A media that is close with the government is carrying out the task of weakening a minister and bringing disrepute to the General Secretary of the party. I question what is their objective in achieving this end. I am aware that if they fail to destroy me in the media, they will ruin my life. My life is in danger. As the General Secretary of the party, sometimes I fail for words for the questions that are directed at me at media briefings and events. We cannot allow this to happen. I must state that the might of Polonnaruwa will be shown when it is required. I believe that those to whom this will matter will understand this.
Sri Lanka bhoomiteda proudavan eya bara ganna ohu shaktimat Maitri nirbhaya situhili tejavat ada karuna gunadam varnavat Maitri game tote sida diye jaya ghosha gai sande janasena oba pasubasse jaya ghosha gai sabbe ratarenu ben janata patume balaporottu oba vai sada.
Unafraid of change. Humane leadership.
Duminda Disanayaka, the Minister of Agriculture, attended a media briefing this morning.
We had a discussion with the Minister of Finance. We decided that all the fertilizer that was imported under concessionary rate will be given to the farmers under the previous price of 1,200 rupees and 1,300 rupees. The reason is because the government is committed to make such payments to the companies that imported the fertilizer subsidy. All the orders were placed before the 31st of December. The government has agreed to make the payments. Therefore, no company has the right to sell the excess fertilizer at an increased price while obtaining it at a concessionary rate from the government. Journalists questioned the minister on the sum of money that will be given to the farmers. 50,000 rupees will be given for every 5 acres of both the Yala and Maha seasons. 25,000 rupees were given earlier for 2.5 acres for both the seasons. When this is increased more, the farmer will be given 50,000 rupees for 5 acres.
The All Ceylon Bakery Owners Association announced that prices of bakery products will have to be increased. It adds that this is due to the increased prices of flour following the implementation of the nation building tax.
The All Ceylon Bakery Owners Association says according to the budget proposal and the amendment made to the nation building tax from the 1st of January, the price of a kilogram of wheat flour would increase by 2 rupees. Chairman of the association, N.K. Jayabodhana, said that the prices of material for bakery products have increased. He added that the executive committee of the association will convene to take a final decision on the price increase of the bakery products.
Up next is Action TV.
On the 30th of December, the Ministry of Education publicized the decisions that were made based on the instructions of the Minister of Education. The first decision was that it was made mandatory for the final list of grade 1 admission and the waiting list be displayed in schools and that the list be displayed in a secure manner. The second decision was that the marking process for the various criteria followed should also be displayed on the notice board of the school. The third decision was, when parents make inquiries over the marking process for the grade 1 admissions, the principal must take measures to address those inquiries. However, these cannot be classified as special decisions because these three decisions have been mentioned in a clear and understandable manner in the circular for grade 1 admissions issued in 2013 and which is still in effect. This communique by the ministry notes that the subject minister is of the need to make the process followed in grade 1 admissions be one that is more transparent and that is more trustworthy. In order to make this assurance, the minister must make decisions with regard to the previous year. When making such decisions, Rahula College Mathura should be given priority as an audit query has also been made on the said school. According to this audit query, 15 students were enrolled for grade 1 in Rahula College Mathura based on the fake marks provided by the interview board. 5 of them have been given 35 marks each. The other 10 students had been given these marks ranging from 6 to 15 in a fraudulent manner. The 2 students who had been given 100 marks had originally received only 86 marks. The interview board was presided over by the principal of the school. Because of this corrupt process, those living in close proximity of Rahula College have been deprived of the opportunity of studying in the school. The principal of Nalanda College, Colombo, had also neglected the waiting list and enrolled students in an arbitrary manner to which a document also bears the signature of the secretary of the ministry. As the Ministry of Education had not taken any action against these 2 principals in question, the principals were given way to follow the same this year as well. When one compares the final list of Ananda College, Colombo and the voters list, the circular followed is also brought into question. Shouldn't action be taken by going beyond issuing communiques? Secretary to the Minister of Education, this is over to you.
Well, Melbourne Renegades batsman Chris Gayle has been fined $10,000 after he propositioned Channel 10 sport reporter Mel McLaughlin live on the air. Well, that's a wrap of tonight's Primetime News.
I'm Shreyan Silva. Thanks a lot for joining us. Good night.